Hello and welcome back to another review. Today I'm taking a look at the J&L Real Bluetooth wireless speakers. I have the 26 and I also have the 7. These are two different devices for two different purposes but with the same goal in mind, so I'm going to bundle them together for this review. Now like I said, both of these devices have that same goal in mind. So what it is they connect via Bluetooth to something like your smartphone or your tablet and then become more or less boom boxes, or the modern equivalent of a boombox. So you're going to play whatever song or music or whatever it is, maybe your audiobook, and it's then going to come out of these speakers right here, which are quite a bit bigger and quite a bit better sounding than what's coming out of your phone. And speaking of sound quality, I was actually impressed by both of these devices. I didn't think they were going to sound as good as they would. You know, maybe they would sound twice as good as something like my tablet, which I thought had pretty decent sound, but no, these are actually sound really quite good. But before we get into the audio test, let's just read the back of the box because that will differentiate these two products from each other. All right, so let's start this off by taking a look at the 26. And as you can tell, its design right here is triangle by nature. So 3 sides, and the bottom has little rubber pads. On the front, you're going to have kind of your highs and mids. That's where your drivers are. And then on the reverb of those drivers, or the back side of them, this is where more of your low notes are going to be coming out of. So this is a very stable design. It doesn't move around at all, and I think it looks pretty good. On top here, you can see it has some sort of little loop where you could potentially put something through and then hang it from there if you really wanted to. And on this side right here, you have this rubber flap that reveals your audio jack, which is 3.5 millimeter audio in, and you can also connect your USB charging cord right there. Both of these devices, by the way, come with a USB charging device and a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. So there you go. You can hook it up to your phone or something like your computer. All right, so let's take a look at the back of the box features and just kind of dig into some of the more details on it. Bluetooth 4.0, 3.5 millimeter audio jack, which I already explained, a powerful stereo sound, which we'll get into just in a moment right there. Built-in microphone for hand-free calls. Now, your controls here are on the top of the device, and they actually work pretty simple. I mean, it's self-explanatory. This thing is also really easy to connect to your device. You just flick the switch on, and then it goes into pairing mode, and that's when you then connect to with your phone or whatever. So there's nothing, you don't have to hold a button for a certain amount of time. It just kind of does it. And then you can flick it off like that. I like that little switch on top. Works pretty well. The microphone itself that's built in is in the bottom right-hand side. However, in this case, I did test it over Skype. The thing is, once you get beyond about 3 feet from this device, you more or less cannot hear yourself at all. It sounds like you're a million miles away. So I kind of prefer to do Skype calls and all that stuff, not using this device on something like that. I wouldn't really use it for that feature. I know it exists, but it isn't that great. Silicone rubber housing with metal grill, unique triangle design, blah, 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 blah. So the more interesting thing here is over on the battery side of the box. It says battery, that's the header. Its output is 3 watts, so these must be 3-watt drivers, and there's 2 of them. And the playtime is 5 to 6 hours. Charge time is 3 to 4 hours. Wireless range is 10 meters, which seems to work. I was able to go at least 10 meters away from my device, and it seemed to still work just fine. And the built-in battery is 1,000 milliamps. Now, if we quickly take that in mind and switch on over here to the J&L 7 and just start off with the same header, which is the battery side of the back of the box, the output is 3 watts times 1. So, and it also is 500 milliamps with the playtime 5 to 6 hours, charge time 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so what you more or less have with both of these devices is this. Okay, this is one device, and this is half of that device. So your J&L 7 is more or less the same driver and everything, just half of what you get out of the 26. So 1 speaker or 1 driver, and then 2 drivers. Now this actually does make a difference when we get into the audio quality. But still sticking with the theme that we're over here on the 7, Bluetooth 4.0, and then it gives you some other details on the back, like frequency response 100 hertz to 20 hertz. It also has ultra bass booster and a 3.5 millimeter aux in, drop resistant, and it gives you the size. So same sort of device, but a little bit different. Okay? So there you have it. The guts of these devices that actually make them work and make the audio come out of them are more or less the same. Biggest difference, mono, stereo. But there you have it. Pretty much the same thing. The casing, though, is what really sets them apart. This one here is an IPX rating 5, which means it is resistant against rain. I had it in the shower, and that should not harm it, more or less, no matter how long it's actually in that shower. It should just be able to stay there. And this one doesn't make any such claim. It's meant to be more ergonomic, meant to be more happy to use around the house or outside, as long as it isn't in the weather. Weather resistant, not weather resistant. And you know what? We're going to test that. All right, so let's get into the final point of this review, the audio test. Let's test my phone against my tablet versus these devices right here. So we're going to start it off here with my phone, and this sounds pretty tinny. I'm not a big fan of it. It's the Samsung J3 phone, so it really doesn't have high-end components. So here we go. You can kind of hear that. We're going to get into the bass. You can hear it. So now let's go and test my tablet right here. A little bit better sounding. All right. It's got a little bit more to it. I have used this as a stereo every once in a while. But now, let's test the 7. A much more full sound out of this. Quite a bit. So, maybe you can hear it. The front side here is more the mids and highs, and then around the back is where you get that bass sound. So, audio comes out of both sides of this device. Let's crank it up to max though. Alright, so this is maximum volume. It's actually pretty loud. So now let's check out the 26 here. Same sort of deal. So it should sound pretty similar. And this is at 50% volume. Again, you're going to hear that same thing. Mids and highs through the front. Bass through the back. Now let's take it up to max and see if we get any distortion. Wow! Okay. Alright, so judging by the audio graph I was seeing over there is that both of these devices were blowing up that microphone. So the J&L 7 right here, it gets loud, and the 26 gets even louder. Now, at maximum volume, or shall I say at the very top 10% of the 7, if you have a heavy enough bass track, it does start to distort the mids and highs coming out of the front of it. It's noticeable, and I probably wouldn't play it at maximum volume. So if you have something where you need to be like ridiculously loud or very loud, this probably isn't your choice. You're going to want to go with the 26. At reasonable volumes, both of these sound pretty similar. I think the 26 in general just sounds a little bit better because I think its frame construction just is a little bit more suited for like sound. Having a triangle design like this, it kind of aims up towards you, and the back also works pretty well at reflecting off a wall. Again, depending on where you put this in the room, either of these devices, it's going to change its acoustics. I really enjoy both of these sound. I think they both sound really good. However, if you are in a situation where you happen to be in a torrential downpour, you're not going to want the 26, you're going to want the 7. So let's finish it off with a little bit of a water torture test. I've got a whole glass of water, and let's just see if it works. There you go. You can hear it playing a little bit, right? So this is actually a little bit more than what it's rated for. But let's see if it works. There we go. Yeah, getting everything wet. My whole table. Let's get it in the front grill too. Yeah, drink it up. No problem. Well, there you have it. Everything's wet, but the 7 is still working. And you know what? The 26 sounds great. This one here, the 7, costs $20 on Amazon. And you know what? I think it works for just about any sort of situation. If I was out camping and I had some sort of movie night or something like that, I was going to play it on a tablet, this would be a great thing to bring along for that situation. For everything else, be a little home speaker stereo system that you can take with you. You know, ditch the boombox, grab this, hook up your smartphone to some sort of media player. And for $26, this thing is great. And you know what? It sounds pretty awesome too. Thanks for watching, guys. That's my review for both the J&L Real 7 and 26. Hopefully you found it somewhat informative or helpful. If you got some questions, maybe I'll be able to get back to you, or somebody else will be able to answer it down there in the comment section below. I'll see you next time, guys. Stay awesome. Peace.